Hello, Rip. I'm a big fan of the podcast and your sense of humor. That's real strange. Nobody's a fan of my sense of humor except me. Sometimes I wonder about it, too. I have a question for you regarding front squats. Why were they removed from practical programming? I'd always been told that they're a great accessory for intermediate advanced lifters. I was wondering if you could elaborate as to why you wouldn't consider them necessary anymore. Well, because they leave out the hamstrings. All right. Now, when the first edition of practical programming was written, I was a little boy. I was a child. And I was just going along with what I thought I knew. But, you know, if you are asked questions, good questions like this all the time, then you have to start thinking about things. So what we started thinking about was, who needs front squats? Who needs to train the front squat? Because we're training these lifts. We're trying to make them go up over time. And who needs to train a version of the squat that does not include much hamstring in it? And the answer to that is Olympic weightlifters, and that's all. Why would you want to do a version of the squat that omits most of the posterior chain from the movement pattern? You understand that a vertical back, which is produced by an open hip angle and a closed knee angle, shortens the hamstrings. And a foreshortened hamstring cannot contribute contraction to hip extension because it's already in contraction. That position is necessary for you if you're going to catch a clean at the bottom of the movement. A full clean is a front squat out of the bottom. So an Olympic lifter has to train the front squat. But you are not an Olympic lifter because there's only about 87 of them in the country anyway. All right, you're not an Olympic lifter. So intentionally doing front squats in the mistaken idea that, well, they emphasize quads is interesting thinking. Why do you want to emphasize quads? The squat, and here's our thinking on this, all right? The squat is a movement pattern. We're not concerned with the muscles except to the extent that we want to include as many of them in the movement pattern so we can strengthen as many of them using a gradually increasing weight in that movement pattern as possible. That's why we squat. And that leaves out the front squat for everybody except Olympic lifters who have to train the things. You have to front squat if you're an Olympic lifter. You have to train the front squat if you're an Olympic lifter. The best thing for making your front squat stronger is get a strong back squat. Add 300 pounds to your back squat. Guess what happens to your front squat? It goes up too. All right? But if you're an Olympic lifter, you absolutely must practice squatting down and up with a vertical back because you can't get out of the clean without a big front squat. But you, not being an Olympic lifter, don't need to do it. I hope that clarifies that, and in terms of why that was omitted from the last edition of Practical Programming, it's because it didn't need to be in there in the beginning, and every time we issue a new edition, we're fixing problems, and that was a problem we fixed.